Roy Gilchrist was cricket's most dangerous weapon. A man so fast he could knock your head clean off, yet so wild he destroyed his own brilliant career before he turned 25. You're standing at the crease, bat in hand, when suddenly a cricket ball whistles past your ear at lightning speed and crashes into the sight screen behind you without even bouncing. That wasn't some freak accident. That was just Roy Gilchrist warming up. The Jamaican fast bowler was quite simply the most terrifying sight any batsman could face in the 1950s, a human hurricane who could bowl faster than anyone had ever seen before. But here's the tragic twist. The same fire that made him the world's most feared bowler also burned down everything he touched, including his own future. Born into crushing poverty on a Jamaican sugar plantation in 1934, Roy Gilchrist learned early that life was about survival of the fittest. The Great Depression had Jamaica by the throat, with unemployment soaring and families struggling just to put food on the table. Young Roy grew up rough and ready, with fists always clenched and anger simmering just beneath the surface. But somehow, this skinny kid who barely stood 5'8" had been blessed with something extraordinary. Arms like whips and a bowling action that could generate speeds no one had ever witnessed before. When Gilchrist first picked up a cricket ball, it was like watching lightning learn to bowl. His approach to the crease was pure poetry in motion, a rhythmic run-up followed by a high leap, and that devastating high-arm action that sent the ball rocketing toward batsmen at murderous pace. The great Gary Sobers, who played with and against some of cricket's fastest bowlers, including Wes Hall and Dennis Lillee, declared without hesitation that Roy Gilchrist was the fastest of them all. Pakistani batting legend Hanif Mohammad, a man who faced the world's best bowlers with courage, admitted that stepping out to face Gilchrist was genuinely terrifying. The stories about Gilchrist's pace became the stuff of legend. Teammates swore they saw him bowl deliveries that landed halfway down the pitch and still had enough steam to crash into the sight screen on the full. Wicket keepers would sometimes lose sight of the ball completely, having to retrieve it from the boundary boards behind them. Opposition batsmen would literally duck and weave like they were dodging bullets, because in many ways, that's exactly what they were doing. This wasn't just fast bowling, this was warfare. But here's where Roy Gilchrist's story takes its first dark turn. See, being the fastest bowler in the world wasn't enough for him. When batsmen managed to survive his thunderbolts, when they had the audacity to score runs off his bowling, something twisted inside Gilchrist's mind would snap. He didn't just want to get batsmen out. He wanted to hurt them, to see them suffer, to watch them limp off the field knowing they'd been conquered by his raw power. What started as competitive fire quickly turned into something much more sinister. During his brief but explosive Test career, which lasted from 1957 to 1958, Gilchrist managed to take 57 wickets in just 13 matches at an average of 26.68. Those numbers might not jump off the page, but they don't tell the whole story. Every single one of those wickets was earned through pure intimidation and blazing pace. Batsmen weren't just getting out to Gilchrist, they were being terrorized into submission. His strike rate of 56.6 balls per wicket was phenomenal for that era, proving that when he got the ball in his hands, wickets fell quickly. The 1958-59 tour of India became the stage for both Gilchrist's greatest triumph and his ultimate downfall. Indian batsmen in those days weren't used to facing genuine express pace, and Gilchrist absolutely demolished them. He ripped through their batting lineups like a hot knife through butter, finishing the series with 26 wickets at a ridiculous average of just 16-11. The Indian press labeled his approach terror tactics, and they weren't wrong. Gilchrist wasn't just trying to dismiss batsmen, he was actively trying to maim them. Chandu Borde, one of India's finest batsmen, later described facing Gilchrist as unlike anything he'd ever experienced. The ball would skid off the pitch at unplayable pace, aimed with surgical precision at vulnerable body parts. Borde remembered how Gilchrist would often bowl 4 bouncers in a single over, each one designed to cause maximum physical and psychological damage. Many Indian batsmen were mentally defeated before they even walked onto the field, knowing they were about to face a man who seemed to take genuine pleasure in causing pain. The breaking point came during a seemingly routine tour match against North Zone. The opposition was led by Swaranjit Singh, who had made the fatal mistake of once writing something critical about Gilchrist during his time at Cambridge University. Gilchrist had never forgotten that slight, and when he discovered he was facing the same man who had insulted him in print, the red mist descended completely. What happened next would end his international career forever. Singh, showing either incredible bravery or stunning stupidity, decided to take on the world's most dangerous bowler. When he drove one of Gilchrist's deliveries straight past him for 4 runs, he couldn't resist twisting the knife with a mocking comment. "You like that one? Beautiful, wasn't it?" Those words sealed his fate and destroyed Gilchrist's future in one moment of madness. What followed was a deliberate attempt at assault with a cricket ball. Gilchrist's response wasn't just another fast delivery, it was the fastest ball he claimed he'd ever bowled, a beamer aimed directly at Singh's head with murderous intent. When West Indies captain Jerry Alexander ordered Gilchrist to stop his dangerous bowling, the volatile fast bowler simply ignored him and sent down another potentially lethal beamer. Then another, and another. Each ball was aimed to kill, not dismiss. The sight of a bowler completely out of control, actively trying to decapitate a batsman while ignoring his captain's direct orders, was too much even for cricket's tolerant authorities. Stories later emerged that Gilchrist had even pulled a knife on Alexander during their confrontation, though this was never officially confirmed. The decision was swift and final. Alexander was blunt in his dismissal. "You leave by the next flight. Good afternoon." Just like that, Roy Gilchrist's international career was over. He was 24 years old, in his physical prime, and had just thrown away what could have been one of the greatest fast bowling careers in cricket history. The West Indies went on to lose their next series in Pakistan 1-2, and many cricket experts believed the result would have been completely different if Gilchrist had been available to spearhead their attack. The aftermath of his banishment revealed just how much the cricketing world had lost. Frank Worrell, who later became West Indies captain and was widely regarded as one of cricket's most inspirational leaders, desperately wanted Gilchrist for the historic 1960-61 tour of Australia. Gilchrist practically worshipped Worrell, consulting him on everything from cricket tactics to what shirt to buy. If anyone could have tamed the wild man and channeled his aggression constructively, it would have been Worrell. But the West Indies Cricket Board had made their decision and refused to budge. The door was permanently closed. So began Roy Gilchrist's exile to English League cricket, where he spent the next 26 years of his life. If you thought his international career was destructive, his time in the Lancashire leagues was pure carnage. Playing for teams like Bacup, Lower House, and Todmorden, Gilchrist took 460 wickets in just 113 matches at an average of 10.78. Those numbers are almost impossible to believe. He was averaging more than 4 wickets per match against batsmen who simply had no answer to his pace and venom. The stories from his league career read like scenes from a horror movie. Playing for Bacup against Church in 1962, he took all 10 wickets in an innings for just 75 runs. 2 years later, representing Lower House against Ramsbottom, he improved on that performance with figures of 10 for 41. These weren't just bowling figures, they were acts of systematic destruction. Local batsmen would literally refuse to play if they knew Gilchrist was bowling for the opposition, such was their fear of serious injury. But even in exile, Gilchrist's demons continued to consume him. His temper hadn't cooled 1 degree, and he continued his pattern of dangerous bowling and violent confrontations. He would deliberately overstep the crease to bowl beamers when frustrated. During one particularly ugly incident, he uprooted a stump and used it to physically assault an Australian batsman who had dared to score runs off his bowling. Cricket was supposed to be a gentleman's game, but Gilchrist had turned it into something closer to gladiatorial combat. The violence wasn't confined to cricket grounds either. Roy Gilchrist's personal life was a chaotic mess of anger, alcohol, and abuse that would make your blood run cold. He had married his girlfriend, Novlin, and they had 7 children together, but their relationship was volatile and dangerous. On June 2, 1967, what should have been a simple disagreement about attending a party escalated into one of the most shocking acts of domestic violence in sporting history. During a heated argument, Gilchrist grabbed his wife by the throat, slammed her against a wall, and then, in an act of pure evil, pressed a hot clothing iron against her face. The physical and emotional scars from that attack would last forever. When the case came to court, the judge was absolutely disgusted by what he heard. His words still ring with outrage today. "I hate to think English sport has sunk so far that brutes will be tolerated because they are good at games." Despite the severity of the crime, Gilchrist received just 3 months probation, a pathetically light sentence that showed how much his sporting reputation protected him from proper justice. This pattern of violence and barely contained rage followed Gilchrist wherever he went. Fellow cricketers learned to give him a wide berth, knowing that any perceived slight could trigger an explosion of fury. Umpires would dread matches where Gilchrist was bowling, never knowing when a bad decision might result in physical confrontation. Even teammates weren't safe from his volatile mood swings as his violent reputation grew throughout the English cricket circuit. Yet here's one of the most baffling aspects of Roy Gilchrist's story. Away from cricket, many people found him charming and likable. Years after their terrifying encounter on the cricket field, the Jamaican batsman Mr. Sang met Gilchrist socially and was amazed to discover one of the nicest men he ever met. This Jekyll and Hyde personality made Gilchrist even more dangerous and unpredictable. You never knew which version you were going to encounter, the pleasant companion or the violent psychopath. As the years passed, Gilchrist's incredible talent began to fade, but his demons remained as strong as ever. Age and alcohol took their toll on his once magnificent physique, and the lightning-fast reflexes that had made him cricket's most feared bowler started to desert him. But even as his skills declined, his capacity for violence and chaos remained unchanged. He was becoming a tragic figure, a man whose greatest gift had also been his greatest curse. In 1985, after 26 years in English exile, Roy Gilchrist finally returned to Jamaica. But this wasn't a triumphant homecoming for a conquering hero. It was the shuffling return of a broken man whose body was beginning to betray him. Parkinson's disease, that cruel destroyer of movement and coordination, had begun its slow, relentless assault on the man who had once moved like liquid lightning. The bitter irony was unmistakable. The fastest bowler in cricket history was losing control of his own body, his hands shaking uncontrollably, his movements becoming slow and labored. The decline was heartbreaking to witness. This giant of the game, who had once made the world's best batsmen cower in fear, was reduced to shuffling slowly around Kingston, his body failing him one piece at a time. Former teammates and opponents who visited him during these final years were shocked by the transformation. The man who had generated such incredible pace and power was now struggling with the simplest physical tasks. Roy Gilchrist died on July 18, 2001, at the age of 67 in St. Catherine, Jamaica. Parkinson's disease had finally claimed the last remnants of a body that had once been cricket's most devastating weapon. His funeral was attended by many cricket legends, including Wes Hall, who had become a reverend and was then president of the West Indies Cricket Board. Hall, who had bowled alongside Gilchrist during that fateful Indian tour, delivered the sermon and later called him one of the early legends of West Indies fast bowling and his mentor. The tragedy of Roy Gilchrist's story isn't just that he wasted his enormous talent. It's that he could have been so much more. Modern cricket analysts who study footage of his bowling technique are amazed by what they see. His action was biomechanically perfect, generating maximum pace with minimum effort. Sports scientists believe that with proper training and psychological support, he could have bowled even faster than his legendary pace suggested. In today's era of sports psychology and anger management, Roy Gilchrist might have become the greatest fast bowler in cricket history instead of its most cautionary tale. But perhaps the most haunting aspect of his story is how it reflects the broader struggles of his generation. Coming from grinding poverty in colonial Jamaica, Gilchrist never received the support, education, or guidance that might have helped him channel his aggression constructively. He was a product of his harsh environment, shaped by violence and struggle, carrying those scars with him throughout his life. His cricket career became both his escape from poverty and his ultimate prison, as his inability to control his demons destroyed every opportunity he was given. The cricket world lost more than just a great bowler when Roy Gilchrist was banned. It lost a chance to see how fast a human being could really bowl a cricket ball. Modern speed guns and scientific analysis suggest that Gilchrist may have been bowling faster than anyone in cricket history, faster even than contemporary legends, like Jeff Thompson or Shoaib Akhtar. We'll never know his true top speed because the technology didn't exist to measure it accurately, but eyewitness accounts suggest it was genuinely frightening. Today, Roy Gilchrist's name is mostly forgotten outside cricket's most obsessive circles, relegated to footnotes and cautionary tales about wasted talent. But his legacy lives on in every fast bowler who learns to channel aggression without losing control, in every player who receives psychological support to manage pressure and anger, and in every cricket administration that takes player welfare seriously. His story reminds us that natural talent, no matter how extraordinary, means nothing without character, discipline, and the wisdom to know when enough is enough. Don't let talent destroy itself. Discover how cricket's most dangerous weapon became his own worst enemy.